You are a super confident woman, and every once in a while, there is this niggling sense that you might not feel worthy. Maybe it's for a promotion, maybe it's opening your own business, leading a team of people. You're so successful, and still, every once in a while, there is this soft voice that is scared for you. Have you experienced this? I know I have. If so, hi, my name is Jen. I'm the founder of Laughing Lotus Wellness, and what I do is work with really brilliantly successful women who need to make a transition to live in fuller alignment. And they've gotten disconnected from their purpose and their legacy. They kind of know where they want to go. They have a beautiful vision. They're so capable, and yet there's something preventing them from making that move, right? And so what I do is help them do that. And this is all based on my experience as a clinical social worker, but also utilizing all of my very favorite healing modalities for really sort of like a choose your own adventure kind of vibe. And so that you can really utilize the resources that I bring in the way that fits you best for your highest success. So I love helping women tap back into that deep sense of purpose and knowing, that deep sense of fire, the ability to create wealth on their own terms. And so those are things that I really kind of lean into when I'm working with coaching clients. Today, what we're going to talk about is that worthiness. And I have already created a video where I talk about some of the potholes, so to speak, for the spots where we might get stuck. This is really the what do we do when we know we've been stuck and we want to get out of that rut. So what I want to talk about today, and this is going to sound like such a cheesy tool. So I'm going to say it first, and I'm a big fan of honesty, right? This sounds so hokey. One of the first things I actually really want you to do is sit down and make a list of your strengths, of the things that you've done that have created success. Because when we're doing life, it gets really easy for us to be so busy and so forward thinking that we sort of forget where we've been. And on one hand, I'm all about being in the present moment, right? That's kind of a lot of what I teach clients, but also there's a reference, a historical perspective on you and your success and what you bring, those gifts, talents, strengths, all of that really creates the foundation for you to be brave and stand in your power, even when you're feeling a little like lack of confidence, right? When I'm like, oh, am I worthy for this? I really want you to know that you are. And so what is really powerful, I have done this practice, and I had a time, I forget, this was probably a year or two ago, and I sat down and they were like, somebody suggested this somewhere, I forget where I even heard it, and they were like, sit down and write out the things you've done. I was floored. And I'm not, listen, this is not me tooting my own horn, but I'm sort of tooting my own horn. I had literally been so busy, I didn't even realize the number of things that I checked off. I think one was like writing my first book, and another one was like holding my own summit. There was all these, and when I looked backward, I went, oh my God, what am I thinking that I'm not doing enough? And I was able to really grasp all of the effort, all of the things that I did. And it is a really beautiful boost for us. It sounds so cheesy, but trust me, if you're really having a hard time, one, do it now. But also every so often, maybe every 3-6 months, sit down and do the same practice. You'll find that you're doing more and you're more present in creating things in your world than you probably give yourself credit. And it isn't just all professional. I love the professional, but I would want you to look at your personal life. What have you generated in your personal life, right? Maybe you donated to a charity for the first time you were super passionate about. Maybe you launched a kid and you're empty nesting, right? It could be that you helped pay off a student loan for your partner. I don't care what it is. Like, you've done some stuff, right? And so really dig back into those spaces in your life and find the places where you did really rise up, because you'll be surprised. I promise they're there. Go back and look. The other, surround yourself with good people. This goes without saying. You're going to hear me say community, accountability, and finding great support systems as a very powerful way to continue to lean into your legacy and purpose. And I think we all need this. Okay, so this is like, I don't care what gender you are, I don't care how old you are, like everyone needs these things. Okay, so there's nothing I'm gonna say today that's not for everybody to listen to, because it applies to all of us. So finding your good people that get who you are, what you're made out of, because they are gonna be excellent resources and references. So let's say I'm struggling to get my head around my magic. I wanna be able to turn to my coach, my whomever in my life, my coach, my friends, my partner, whomever, right? My best friends, whoever it is. And I want to say, what is it that makes me magic? Can you remind me? Because right now I might be struggling. I've lost my power in this place. Can you walk me through? Do you remember a time that I stood in it more effectively? What did I do? So there is a really important aspect of having a group and community surrounding you that holds space for all of the magic that you bring, because they're going to be your great reminders. Okay. And you want to utilize them as your support system. Absolutely. When you're going through something where you might be struggling. Okay. The other is make peace with your dark parts. That sounds awkward, but what I'm saying is the parts of you that sometimes don't show up as shiny, we can want to lean away from it. And we can be like, oh, I can't go there. Because we somehow imagine that if we touch into the not so joyous parts of who we are, that'll make it harder. Actually, they're human. They humanize you. And what they do is they teach you about where you've been. That's what's really important. So as a mindset, people kind of go, oh, but I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to look at the parts that the spots where I don't feel so good. And I would say, my friend, I want you to embrace them, because every one of us has the light and the dark. Every one of us is made up of the successful parts and the parts that are not things that we love to share. The more rooted you are in all of the things that make you who you are, the more confident you'll be. Because what you'll do is when those challenging parts want to sneak in, that soft, quiet voice that's a pain in your ass, and she wants to tell you something nasty, you go, oh, I see you there. I see you there, victim. I know. We think we always get passed over for the promotion or the opportunity or the speaking gig or whatever that might be for you, right? But the truth is that this is just that part of us that struggled back in our history when we hit something that was really tough, and it was an old experience that we had. And remember, we made peace with that? Exactly. So I can stand firmly even in the parts that don't feel as lovely, which is really, really important. It's just loving the whole of who you are. And it's just that humanity in each of us that all of us bring to the table. And actually, that humanity is something that makes you bonus. So rather than dismissing and getting like, oh, I don't want anybody to see this stuff, people really enjoy and respect authenticity. And so in your humanity, you'd be surprised by the way that people relate to that, and that connection is so vital. And to me, that's one of my very favorites. And so it's why I remind us to not just feel like we have to be this shining, walking, talking source of perfection, because no one is, number one. But two, it's like, no, the dark parts make us gritty, and they actually make us really resilient. And I want you to see your resilience. I want you to recognize all of that as one whole fell swoop. I think it's very important to see that as a whole. Practice, practice, practice. I'm going to tell you what am I talking about? Practice all the tools I'm talking about all the time, because it is a constant state of evolution that we're in. When we're doing life real well and we're in the flow, we're still changing. We're still transforming. And so it's going to take practice over and over again to talk ourselves through the dark parts, to talk ourselves through the questions of if we're capable. And then we go back and we sit down and we do our list and we go, oh my God, look at how much you did last quarter. That was incredible. Look at all the stuff you accomplished. You forgot you got 2 new clients. You forgot that you started this whole new program. You forgot that you leaned in and helped somebody with their project over here and made 10 grand. That was amazing, or whatever. I'm just throwing out different hypothetical ideas, right? But just you get the idea is we want to practice all of these things really routinely to get in a habit. We don't want it to be like the toolbox we only ever utilize when one thing goes wrong. Does that make sense? And it's like all the things in it are kind of like rusty. They sort of haven't been seen the light of day in 9 million years. The more we practice, the better we get at it, which means resilience goes up and downtime and sadness and that doubt goes down, which is exactly what we're looking for. We're looking to kind of shift the scales, right? It takes practice. Be afraid and do it anyway. Okay, I could talk about this the live long. I'm not going to lie. This is one of my very favorite things ever. So I just was on a call with a client today and she was talking about this transition she's making. And she's like, I was super honest with the people when I took this position. And I was like, well, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to deal with that, but I will tell you. And I love this. She was like, I'm going to be a different person on the other side of this. Oh, I was like, that is so good. She was super vulnerable. And she was like, look, I'm going to give this a go and we'll figure out as I go, but I'm going to tell you I'm going to be a different, better person for this experience. And I was like, that is so brilliant. And I love it. I said to her, I love that you legitimately like imagine her standing in the edge of an airplane and she's got her parachute on her back, but literally just she leapt out of the plane, and she knew where things were, but she was like, you know what? I'm going to figure it out on the way down, and I've got this. And that is a epic form of courage and bravery. It really is. So leap and figure it out later, which is, I know someone just had a palpitation. I could feel you. Take a big breath. Okay. I get it. It sounds so scary, but like, I haven't done this job, or I got asked to do this speaking gig and I haven't spoken on X, Y, and Z. Listen, you have more expertise in your pinky than you probably give yourself credit for. 1,000%. And when I see a woman standing full on in that power and willing to lean in and like, listen, okay, yep, I've got my cords, I've got my, my handles, and I know that I'm ready. And at that time where I know I'm going to need that safety net, I'll pull it, but I'm going to plan on my way down. It isn't, because one of the things I'll see, and I talked about this earlier, for what gets in our way is procrastination. We go, well, I don't know it, but I don't have all the exact information I need. And what if I just leaned in for here for a while longer, and I trained, or I did this extra class, or I went to school, or I did this whatever programming, or whatever it is that we make up in our heads, right? Or I went here and met this person. There is never going to be an optimal time. There will never be a perfect time. You do not have to have every single detail in order to leap. And I really want to encourage you to lean into that kind of space and stop waiting for everything to line up like it's going to be this perfect scenario. If only. We'll just never do anything. Do you feel me? We'll just never do anything. If that's what we're waiting for, we won't make leaps. We won't rise into our kind of our own evolution, that transcendence. We will have a harder time getting there. And so I loved listening to her, and I had to reflect it back to her, because even she was like, well, I'm just like, doing this, and I don't know, I'm kind of anxious, and I don't really know what to expect with this. And I'm like, you've got this, but look at how brave you were to do it this way. She was like, oh, so this is why we have someone. That's why we invest, which I'll just bring it right there. We invest in ourselves. We invest in having that voice that's louder than the one that's riding around inside your head. We sometimes need loud mouths in our life. I love my loudmouth people in my world that are like, that's not you standing in your power, Jen. That's not you living into that courage and bravery I know you've got inside you. They are louder than my voice. And that is something that's so essential to your journey. And so do make sure you've got that voice. Invest in yourself to have a voice louder than the stuff that you're carrying around that we all have, because I will guarantee that most of us have a block. Not most of us, all of us have emotional blocks. This is definitely that psychological part of my brain. I've never met another woman ever one time that didn't say, I have some old hangups, conditioning, experiences, whatever it might be. We are carrying around these old, yucky, outdated versions of ourselves, stories about ourselves, beliefs about ourselves, and we need to go in and shake that up. Like, take the box, right, and shake it all up, and then turn it back out and make sense of it so that you can let that go, okay? Because those are the things that will prevent you from doing what you want to do. And so what else? Deepen your spiritual practices. This is going to sound funny. And reinvesting time to learn how to trust yourself again. Every once in a while, we beat ourselves up so badly that we've sort of lost a connection to ourselves. I know that sounds funny. And so what I really want you to do is invest time and energy in learning to trust who you are and what you're capable of. And it includes all of the things that we've talked about, all the things I've listed out. And I really want you to imagine that you are going to remove those blocks to allow you to lean in and really look at the different layers of who you are and heal them, not just talk about them, but we want you to look at what you're made up of and renegotiate the way that you have a relationship with the thoughts you have about yourself, about the journey, about where you've been. It's just so essential to your journey of elevating into that worthiness that you have innately. You're innately worthy without doing a single thing, sis. I got news for you. You don't actually have to do anything to be worthy. Isn't that glorious? You just have done way more than you're probably giving yourself credit for. And so if you could use some support and this feels joyous and like, oh, Jen, I need more of this, please reach out to me. Let's get on a call and chat about how I might support you in standing in your highest power to live into your purpose and legacy. Take care, everybody. See you next time.